I'm focused on this spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. And oh boy, there's tea. This is unfortunate tea. It's not totally surprising tea, but man, it's piping hot and it is unfortunate. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have decided to have their breakup over the internet, and it is spicy and personal at this point, and it is ongoing. There are tweets and things popping up. Someone should take their phones. It's just crazy because the Democrats clearly wanted them at each other's throats, and they're like, they could see right through it. And they might as well not have even tried to formulate a plan to break them up, because I guess they can obviously do it themselves. So anyway, they're upset over Elon's upset over the big beautiful bill, and people had other speculations on why Elon was upset, and so he's upset that they're speculating and saying things and saying personal things. So he just so their phones need to be taken, but we're gonna talk about that. Also, the Supreme Court made a ruling. And all the justices agreed. Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote the opinion, but there was a reverse discrimination case, and people seem to be upset that a straight woman didn't like that she was discriminated against, and people are misrepresenting the case. So we'll talk a bit about that and some other things as well. And but this Elon Trump stuff is not good. So anyway, before we jump into it, I encourage you guys to go to blackteanews.com, check out different content, the website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website. Because it just costs a stream, run my site, all the good stuff. So you guys can support. I very much do appreciate you guys. And you guys can also check out my different books and things. There's a link in the description. It'll take you to an Amazon page, and I write fiction books and nonfiction books, so you guys can check out the different things that I have. You guys can also check out different mugs and t-shirts and all sorts of things, if you would like. So I guess that's all for the intro. And oh boy, let's hop to it. So I'm just trying to make a post real quick. I was going to make it more detailed, but it's kind of hard to talk to you guys and that make a post at the same time. So anyway, you guys know that Elon isn't fond of the big, beautiful bill. And he's voiced that, and Trump decided to weigh in, and it's just not going well. It's not going well. I was driving out earlier, and I had it on WJR for some reason. I mean, it's like automatic plugged into the presets or whatever, but I usually listen to Caleb when I'm driving, but it just happened to go to that. And so they were talking about Elon and Trump fighting, and this was, I don't know, around noon ish, and their speculation over why Elon was mad was very interesting to me. They said, "Oh, what's the real reason why Elon is upset? Could it be because they get rid of EV subsidies?" And obviously he's in the electric vehicle realm, but he's talking about getting rid of all subsidies or whatever. So he's, I don't think he's pressed about that. And like, oh, or is he upset because Trump didn't get his, take his recommendation on who should be the head of NASA? Like that could always be a reason, but the real reason though that they decided to speculate why Elon was so upset about Trump's bill, or why he's speaking out, is because because of his association with Trump, a lot of people who like Teslas decided to no longer like that company, and people wanted to sell their Teslas. They didn't want to buy Teslas anymore. People were attacking Tesla cars, and then there was the folks trying to set the dealerships or whatever on fire. So their speculation on WJR, which is like a major like radio news station or whatever in Metro Detroit area, was that he just, I guess, wants a messy breakup. So the libs will be like, oh, cool, he's distancing himself from Trump. It's okay to go buy Teslas now because he's back on our side, I guess, was their speculation. And I think there's an easier answer than that. I think the easier answer is Elon Musk is filthy rich. He's filthy rich, and he pays more taxes than I think anybody in the country because he makes so much money. And when the government confiscates so much of your money, I guess he maybe doesn't need it all. Maybe he could never find a way to spend it all, though he does invest it and do a lot of cool things. You start to wonder, like, where's all this money going? And gosh, it's going to a lot of really dumb things, even egregious, like morally terrible things. So maybe he just wants the government to be more responsible with the money that they take from him. And then he got involved with the campaign. And not only did he get financially involved, pouring in millions of dollars into Trump's campaign, and he took time out of his life to like temporarily move to Pennsylvania to convince people in that state to vote for him. That it's one thing to throw around money when you have it, but the number one commodity that people really want is time. You can't get back time. That's why having so much money is great, because you can pay other people to do things that you don't have to do, and you can invest your time in ways that's really important to you because you won't get it back. So for him to not only pay a lot of money, and he was paying ridiculous money, like I don't even know what all the reasons that he had his PAC doing the thing where you sign a petition saying like, I like free speech and the Second Amendment, and then you got paid if you recommended other people to sign up for it and get money. I got some checks for that. So, and then he was giving away $1 million like every week for a certain amount of time. He was investing a lot of money, but he was investing his time in doing these town halls and convincing people that they needed to support Donald Trump. And then victory came. He was going to all these rallies, doing all this stuff, and then they actually won. And he came out on stage hooping and hollering, so excited, beating on the stage, jumping up and down. And he did the "my heart goes out to you" thing. And then the media was like, oh my gosh, he did a Nazi salute. Then he had to deal with that. He had to deal with so much bad media, bad press coming against him nonstop. And then it was clear that people were trying to separate him and Trump and make them fight, and they saw through it or whatever. And they didn't engage and fall for those sorts of traps, and unfortunately they have issues now. But he started Doge, which when I heard about the idea of Elon coming in and trying to make the government efficient, that got me excited. And a lot of different people excited. And they started looking at what at their processes and how much they were spending, where it was going into nonsense, and looked at different things that should be cutting back a lot of jobs in the government, or suggesting, which I think it's going to be very hard to win things in Virginia because a lot of government workers live in Virginia. So you're messing with their money. So there's a chance, they're going to get blown out. I don't know if that's the case. I really hope Winsome Sears can I think it would be nice if she won that race for governor, but I think it's going to be really hard for her. But they did the Doge stuff, and he basically ran the clock for as long as he could be a government employee, I think, without having to sign a bunch of documents about his money and et cetera, et cetera. So he's done, left the government, so on. But he did a lot in making recommendations for them to cut stuff. And now they have this opportunity to have this big bill. And he says a bill cannot be big and beautiful. And of course, Trump wants to stuff as much stuff as possible into one thing for various reasons, border security and the taxes being cut, extension of the tax cuts and other things, because I guess there's only so much political capital they have with such a small majority. And they're trying to make sure that they can, one, the tax cuts need to be passed because people expect them to be passed. And if they run out, our taxes are going to go up. And it's going to cause some harm to our economy. So if that doesn't happen, they'll probably not be good in the stock market and have negative impacts on top of the fact of people having to pay more taxes. But if they don't get certain things done prior to midterm season, it's just not gonna be good, period, for Republicans, especially for Trump. And then his agenda is going to basically be stalled if we don't have the House and the Senate, and he's not gonna be able to do anything. So it's very important. So I can understand the political reasons of wanting to put stuff so much in the bill, but at the end of the day, we do still have a majority. So the question is, why aren't we doing more cuts? Now, I've told you guys many times, I never expected Trump to be a fiscally responsible person, in the sense that he was going to be like a Tea Party guy that was going to just slash, like this guy pees in golden toilets. That would be nice. I'd be very happy. I'd be very glad. But that's, I didn't delude myself into thinking that he was the guy who was going to get all that kind of slashing and stuff done. Like unleashing energy and getting rid of regulations that slow up progress. Like, yeah, those are things I expect him to do. But if he has projects he wants to do and he can spend other people's money, rich people they have their own money, but they like to spend other people's money. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. So Trump spent a lot of money, even prior to COVID, but definitely after COVID, in his first term. He did spend a lot of money. And of course, Joe Biden spent a lot of money. And we're in a post-COVID world. So why are we still spending money like crazy? And then there's old tweets like Trump is like throwing out ideas of like, hey, just like, let's not have a ceiling, let's not have a debt ceiling at all, like things that Elizabeth Warren has said. And now it's to the point where people on the right are saying things that the leftists of the lefties were pushing. Anne asked the question, is this a possible troll to the Democrats? I don't know. It's not a troll. No, it's not a troll. And maybe you have not seen some of the tweets going out. If that's the question, it is, no, it's not. So there's an interview, and Elon tweeted under this. So I think this also kind of set him off. But we played clips before of Elon saying the bills can't be big and they can't be beautiful at the same time. So we know how he feels. Trump has had Stephen Miller and other people going out and defending the bill. The Speaker Johnson is like, oh, with all due respect to Elon, and he would defend the bill and not step on Elon's toes. I think this is a terrible relationship to screw up. I was hoping that Elon was going to drop some money in Michigan, to be honest, but I don't see that happening. Um, I think we blackpilled him, guys. I think we blackpilled him. I think he's going to probably dip out of the political scene for a minute. And it's too bad. It really is too bad. So let's watch this clip that again seemed to set him off.
So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, let me start that over.
So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all.
I'm going to let him keep going, but I just want to put this out there that Elon says this is not true. He said he did not see the bill. He said it was done in the dead of night. And him being so upset over all this and speaking out about it is not about EVs. And he said, fine, get rid of them. And he's like, but it doesn't make sense that you don't have electric vehicle subsidies, but you have all these other subsidies for oil and gas and so on. So I'll let him go on.
Well, we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars.
So
under that clip online on Twitter, there is a tweet from Elon Musk. And it says, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. And he said such ingratitude. So there's some of those things, but it doesn't stop there. Oh boy, it doesn't stop there. So he's not happy for sure. And he posted this one, I think, about at 3:10, so a little more than an hour ago. Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. Wow. Wow. To me, the Epstein stuff, I don't know who would have showed him what or whatever. I don't think there could really be something damning about Trump in those files, which he did know him, and Trump in the past has talked about how he's known him. We know he also like kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago or whatever, but a lot of people knew Epstein. If there was something that incriminating about Trump and Epstein, you don't think it would have came out within the 4 years that Biden was president? If there was something like, I don't know, creepy portraits like with Bill Clinton, or that was something that Epstein that Clinton posed for. There was something that someone else made and that Epstein bought, but photos with Trump and some of like the alleged sex slaves, like you don't, if there was such evidence or things in the files, I think that would have been released, been leaked. If no one else was protected, let's say they would have protected everybody else and just leaked Trump or whatever. So I don't know what he thinks he knows, but that's just really, 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 really hard to believe. Not because I think that Trump is so innocent and such a good guy and wouldn't do like something bad, I guess. I'm not even trying to defend his character. I just think that people hate Trump so much. The hatred is so astronomical. There was so much on the line to defeat Trump. And if Trump was in the Epstein files, and there was something like extraordinarily incriminating, I just don't believe it would have been a secret for all this time. No way. No way. I guess I don't want to say no way because there's always a maybe. But to me, that just doesn't make sense at all. So here's a snippet with Elon talking about tax credits. And this is a tweet from back in May. They were talking about this, and Elon said, all subsidies should end, including those for oil and gas. Anything else is pure hypocrisy, and fate does not smile upon hypocrites. Talking about the EV tax credit. So he's like, if they're going to end, if you're going to get rid of them for electric vehicles, get rid of them for gas and oil.
We don't need the $7,500 tax credit.
This is from 2021.
We don't need the $7,500 tax credit. I would say, honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation.
What about the support though for the charging network? I mean, there are parts of this bill, and No?
No, I mean, do we need support for gas stations? We don't. So there's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
Okay, all right.
I'm literally saying get rid of all subsidies, but also for oil and gas. We don't need the 70.
So that's been his position, you know. But if you're going to get rid of them for EVs, then get rid of them for oil and gas. So the idea that he's coming now, I don't know how much he's upset about the NASA recommendation. I don't know about that, but the idea that Trump is, put it out there, floating it, that he was upset about the EVs. Trump's video, I don't know why he said all those things if they're not true. I wonder why that is his perception about all that, or maybe he's just kind of casually like lying. Because his tone and everything, it wasn't nasty. You know when Trump gets really nasty, and that wasn't him going to war, like being really angry. But Elon said it's not true about him knowing all about the bill and so on. So insinuating that he's turning on it just because he can't have the EV stuff. In other words, because it doesn't benefit him. And I think that probably grinds his gears a lot, because he has put himself out there a lot for things that he believes in, and has made it known that he's willing to lose money to do the right thing. Like when he bought Twitter, it wasn't profitable. And there was all these boycotts that came against, Twitter, because he wanted to uplift different free speech principles and so on. And, they had to find ways to innovate and make money in, different ways. And they incentivize people with payouts, and they, have the subscription model where you pay for your check mark and you can edit and you can tweet longer and so on. I would have a blue check mark, but I mentioned the other day that last time I gave Elon $8, they took my $8, but they give me a check mark, and I don't know how many times it's going to happen. So, and I did try to reach out, but nobody where they told you to reach out, it didn't get to anybody. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to just be sending you $8 continuously and I don't have a blue check mark. But anyway, just being able to tweet longer, in my opinion, for me, it was kind of worth it. I miss my long form tweets, but people coming against his company, I've seen him have interviews with people, and he referenced The Princess Bride, and the man who's trying to get revenge for his father, when he finds a 6-fingered man, and he's like, offer me power, offer me money, and he's like, oh, I'll give you money, I'll give you power, and he's like, well, give me my father back or whatever. And he couldn't do that, so he went ahead and he killed the guy. But he referenced that to say, the offer me money, offer me power, it doesn't mean anything to him. I guess it's easy to say when you have it, but he's willing to sacrifice millions of dollars to uphold certain principles that he has. So my point in mentioning that is, it just doesn't make sense that he would light all this on fire for some EV subsidies that in the past he's already talked about scrapping bills. So it gets worse because Trump decided to hit the nuclear option too. He said the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. That is petty, petty, petty. Whew. That's too petty. That is too petty. Because you obviously have this beef with Elon. You don't like that he's criticizing your bill. And he should just let him be vocal about it and not really respond too much to it. You know, he should have had a surrogates and different people just kind of like, we respect Elon but we need to get this done for X, Y, and Z, and we're gonna, tighten things in the future and build toward a more responsible government and getting those tax cuts passed and the border bill passed and stuff. Like, that's important. Like, there's ways to spin that and dodge the Elon's attacks and try to, I don't know, talk to a bit off screen to get all this straight. But when Elon, who is doing personal attacks, it's one thing to do personal attacks, I guess, but you're talking about ending the relationship that with the government has with SpaceX. There's not another company that does stuff, to my knowledge, as well as they do. And you've been going on talking about how, oh, it's so cool. Oh my gosh, they're catching rockets and boosters in midair and all that sorts of stuff. And now you're like, well, you know what? Maybe we should cut that. And you're obviously not doing it for good reasons. You're doing it because you're upset. And if you can just cut off different contracts and with different people because you're having a temper tantrum, that's not good. What, Susie Wiles, where is she? What is she doing? Like, I know it's very hard to wrangle Trump and manage Trump, but this is dysfunction, and it's not good. Like it's confiscate the phones kind of moment. Oh boy. Oh boy. So say Elon should have called Trump in private. He has the right to voice a negative opinion about the bill. He doesn't work for the government. He was always a private citizen, but I'm sure he's probably mentioned stuff about spending. I wonder what his opinion are on some of these tariffs. Like, legit, for real. I saw this meme. I thought it was appropriate. It's time to stop posting Musk and Trump. And then Ashley St. Clair decided to tweet this. Hey, real Donald Trump, let me know if you need any breakup advice. Because she's Elon's ex and one of his baby mamas who decided to go online and do stories about her plight of her baby, which I assume is another IVF baby, which Elon's got. There's lots of things Elon does that I disapprove of. Let me see if there's any other tweets to show you guys. Elon's talking about, like, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? Which is absurd to me, because I'm like, there's lots of things that you think that you're maybe 80% on. There's too many things that people disagree with. You're not going to get a party that represents just the 80% of Americans. It's impressive enough that there's people are such sticklers in the Democrat Republican pile or whatever. But I don't think Elon Musk is, sorry, besides money, I don't think he's going to be the one to make a party where 80% of Americans just come together to screw up the other ones. He did say some of the tariffs. He did. And someone said, "Can I finally say that Trump's tariffs are super stupid?" And he said that Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. Oh gosh. Oh boy. Oh my, someone said President versus Elon. Who wins? My money on Elon. Trump should be impeached and JD Vance should replace him. And Elon said yes. He is hot, man. Elon is like, even with the Ashley St. Clair stuff, who is his baby mama, one of his baby mamas, when she like went online and did like profiles or whatever, she's just like, he doesn't see our child, and we need money, and he needs to see him, and all kinds of stuff, voicing her concerns. And he didn't he did things. I don't remember how many times he maybe tweeted at her directly about the different things she was saying online about their relationship and the relationship he has with this child or whatever. But people would post things and he'd comment under their stuff or do little emojis or whatever that was really spicy. Really spicy. So I'm not surprised at how all this, he's antagonizing everything on, and Trump is, he's obviously got things to do, and he is tweeting things and saying things. Gosh, I wonder if he's in a room throwing things. Like, this is probably ticking him off, man. Elon did reply to Trump's threat about SpaceX. He said, in light of President's statement about cancellation of my government contract, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. They pick up your phones. Pick up your phones. Pick up your phones. RC said, so far Trump is calm. This is not calm. Tweeting out that you're canceling, you're thinking about canceling contracts or whatever for the greatest space program. Nope. Nope. You and then it's also probably, him saying things like, I could have won without him, and I've done a lot for him, and so he did call him ungrateful. And again, Elon did do a lot of things for him to win, to help him win. And Trump himself has said that Elon hasn't asked him for anything or whatever. At least that's what he's told the cameras. But by the way, I just, because you can see my stuff, I liked this comment to bookmark it. I don't bookmark a lot of things. I just have always just liked them. I don't like this comment because I think he's in the Epstein files. Just want to clarify that. When you see a liked comment well, they hide likes, but you guys are like looking through the eyes of my page right now. So I just wanted to clarify that. I guess before that, I didn't see this one. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandates that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. And Elon said such an obvious lie, so sad. So yeah, I guess he was that was okay, so he was that predates the Epstein stuff. So it looks like he went personal first. Trump did. But Elon was going back at previous tweets from Trump, from Republicans and other folks talking about like one for Speaker Johnson. At this point, Congress has to stop this endless cycle of out of control deficit spending. So he went back and looked at Trump's old tweets and things like that. And I think it was the other night where he said, I just can't take it anymore. Like the spending is egregious. And so he's this is quite the breakup. Some of you guys in the comments are saying you hate to see it, and I think there's so many unfortunate repercussions to this. Well, one, the space stuff is not great, I guess, but I didn't expect him to like dish out a ton of money like he did on Pennsylvania and Trump forever. I was kind of hoping he'd help with the midterm with my state. Gosh, but you know, sometimes, and some of you guys would say this, back when it was the primary season or after the primary season, when it's like, oh, who's going to be Trump's VP? And some people would say that it needed to be Ron DeSantis. And it could be Ron, and they make a great team. And then, you know, Ron, it's not Ron's turn. Ron can run next time or whatever. There was those kinds of comments like everywhere online. And sometimes people would write them in my comments. And I was always adamantly against that. Reason being, one, I think Ron DeSantis is fine just in being the governor of Florida and doesn't need to serve in the capacity of the vice president, though that would be a very huge honor. I think he's just better suited right now to be an executive in his state. Two, the long-term benefit of being Trump's vice president, I don't know if there is one. Because it can go south so quick. Trump can sour on you so quick. If you're like loyal to a T to him, you know, then he'll be pretty loyal to you. Like Pete Hegseth, when they were like trying to cancel him and destroy him or whatever before his or during his confirmation with different allegations that popped up. It's like people have to understand Pete is his guy. And he's going to stick up for him, and he's going to stick up for a lot of his guys. You know, there's some times when maybe it isn't quite reciprocated, but a lot of times, you know, but it comes with a cost. And I don't think Elon could just kind of sit back and not be vocal about something like this massive spending, especially when it was his goal and his job for the last like 5 months or so, or 4 or 5 months, to try to cut back on spending. So with that being the case, why would he just stay silent forever on this? Did he need to be as aggressive with it online? Maybe not, but that is his way. You know, he likes using his platform that he purchased. And Trump is the same, man. They like to tweet. Someone said, Kit Kat said, make them stand in a hugging and hugging in a corner and tell them they aren't allowed to stop until they make my mom. We never had to do a hugging corner, or wear like some kind of sweater, oversized sweater, and stand with each other. Like I've seen people have to like do that or talk about stuff like that. My mom would tell us, the sun went down. The sun went down. You gotta let it go, because there's a scripture about not letting the sun go down on your wrath. So we could have our disagreements, but we cannot carry them over. Like, you had your time to be upset, but you had to let it pass. And that's, something my mom was a stickler about. She did not want dysfunction in her home. She wanted peace in her home. And she was going to have it. Sometimes we might hear, shut up and go pray. Shut up, go pray. But they wouldn't allow us to fight. Like, well, certainly not like this, but we weren't allowed to fight like that. So my question is, where is Susie Wiles? And where's his people? And I know he's a president, and on top of being the president, he's a very old man, who isn't quite slowing down. People who are older, very set in their ways, it's very hard to wrangle them. So it's not an easy job, but it is her job to control things. And him talking about the tariffs, I do have to say, if he felt this way, I'm sure he's probably said things to Trump, or I would hope that they would have those kind of conversations. Because I'm like, I know there's people in his sphere that should know that the tariff stuff isn't how it's being implemented and used in the broad stuff isn't good. I know some of you guys disagree, but it isn't good. So now being mad about the spending bill, and now having the breakup and being like, oh, by the way, it's going to lead to a recession. I don't think that's cool. It's like, oh, now you got something to say. Now you got something to say. I don't know. That's why I don't fake funk with if I got something to say, I'll just say it. Yeah, he kept posting things like, where's the guy who said all these words, and retweeting like Trump saying, I cannot believe the Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I am a Republican and I am embarrassed. And no member of Congress should be eligible for re-election if our country's budget is not balanced. Deficits not allowed. No member of Congress should be. Oh yeah, that's what he said. That's the same tweet. Like, but Elon is saying wise words. I couldn't agree more. So now Elon did say this this was posted a couple this might be from yesterday.
I think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments to national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience.
And I don't think this is from last night, but they reposted it last night. I'm not sure when but yeah, we are spending too much, And it is rough because there's so many things that Trump doesn't want to touch due to blowback. But some of these another thing though is that a lot of the stuff's being passed and folks haven't read it too. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about this the other day, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, let me see if I can find her tweet. But she said that she didn't read something in the bill, and if she had seen it, here it is. If she had seen it, then she wouldn't have voted for the bill. She said, full transparency, I did not know about this section on pages 278 and 279 out of the OBBB that strips states of the right to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I am adamantly opposed to this, and it is a violation of states' rights, and I would have voted no if I had known this was in there. We have no idea what AI will be capable of in the next 10 years, and giving it free reign and tying states' hands is potentially dangerous. This needs to be stripped out in the Senate when the OBBB comes back to the House for approval. After Senate changes, I will not vote for it with this in it. We should be reducing federal power and preserving state power, not the other way around, especially with rapidly developing AI that even the experts warn they have no idea what it may be capable of. So this is a congresswoman. We know that all these people do not read the bill. They don't have time to read all the things in the bill. And that is one of the shames about bills being so large. We know that they don't read it all. It's just a fact. And here she is, full transparency. I did not know about this section in the bill. Why didn't you know about it? Because you didn't read it. Maybe you read some of it, but you didn't read it. And now, not only did you not read it, you're saying if you had known, you wouldn't have voted for it. And if they don't remove it, that you're not going to support it. And A.G. Hamilton, this is a good account to follow, said Marjorie Taylor Greene publicly attacked colleagues who oppose the bill by claiming they are betraying Donald Trump's agenda. Now she says she would have voted no if she had known about one provision related to regulating AI, which she would have known about if she read the bill that she voted for. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Tina said there should be a limit on how big bills should be. I agree. I think they should be short, and the scope of them should be very limited. Again, I understand that there's a method to putting all this stuff together to try to get it passed in one giant bundle. But I mean, you negotiate with people like, hey, will you vote for this? But it didn't really get Democrat support anyway. So why is there so much pork and other things in it? Like, I understand there's people who live in purple districts and they want pork. But it's just not this is a mess, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And it's such a shame because the Democrats knew the power of Trump having all this power and winning and being successful. And then Elon and his mind and his influence and his money. And they were trying to tear them apart. It was so freaking transparent at the beginning, trying to set them up in scenarios. Because they were, if you remember the narrative, like, oh, President Elon, like he's the one really in charge. Those stories were designed to grate against Trump's ego. That's what that was for. And they didn't fall for it. They didn't fall for it. But now we got this madness. And it's too bad. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have some more tea about this tomorrow, but we gotta keep talking about it. But man, oh boy. Anyway, another interesting thing that happened. In the past, I had covered this story, but there was a woman who had a case that ended up going up to the Supreme Court. She decided, she claimed that she was discriminated against. She's a straight white female because her job hired people who were gay over her. And so she said that they discriminated against her because they wanted to hire some gay folks, I guess. And so she sued. And this is what people refer to as reverse racism or reverse discrimination. And it's just racism or discrimination. It's not reverse anything. You know, if you discriminate against a black person because they're black, that's racism. If you discriminate against a white person because they're white, that's racism too. Okay. You can't do that. At least not how the laws are anyway. But the issue that she was running into is that there is a higher threshold for a majority to get over compared to if you have a case of discrimination and you're a minority, like if you're gay or whatever. If you're gay, you're black or whatever. So the Supreme Court sided with her. And this is like what the headlines are. Supreme Court sides with straight woman in a decision that makes it easier to file reverse discrimination suits. I guess it does, but there's a reason why they're framing the story this way. And by the way, it was like the whole court. And Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote the opinion, which is surprising because I think she's probably the worst. The worst justice. And I saw people saying, I'm so disappointed in the Supreme Court. I'm so disappointed in Ketanji. I'm so disappointed. It's just saying that if there's discrimination, everyone has the same threshold to prove that it is. And just because you're in the majority or a non marginalized group or something, that you should be treated differently if someone decided to treat you differently. It goes back to the when you're privileged for so long, you start to be upset when everything is on the same level. You know, or back to that story about in Hamtramck when they decided that they were only going to fly state flags and that on city property. You could fly a pride flag if you wanted to on your own property, but not like, you know, at City Hall or something. And all these gay activists came out, were upset, and they were noting, including the Attorney General, who's a lesbian, that, you know, when you have neutral policies, that's discriminatory against the marginalized. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. Like you should have these laws to protect everyone, but you shouldn't have the laws to make people more special than what they are, you know? So it's just even playing field. But those are the sorts of headlines and that people are using to describe it and define it. And it's just not the case. But it's interesting that this had to be litigated. I guess I didn't really know that there was a higher standard that people would argue for the majority. Here's another one from the Washington Post. Breaking news: the Supreme Court sided with a straight woman who claimed she was faced bias in the workplace after she was passed over for positions that went to gay colleagues. Now, if you know the background of the case, if you know the background of it and like what I explained to you guys and what the decision actually was, I don't know if you can a reasonable person can actually argue against this, but the reason why they just want to be like, oh, a straight woman claimed that that she was discriminated against over, because she was straight, is for people to go, ain't y'all had enough? Ain't y'all had enough? That kind of attitude that people have. Like, oh, you're privileged. But the better headline, the Supreme Court unanimously struck down applying a different standard for discrimination claims based on the sexuality, gender, or race of a person making the claim. Yeah, that would have been a better headline. But they want people, especially during Pride Month, to roll their eyes and be angry at cis straight white women. So good on her name is Marlene Ames. And so I saw some commentary from the news. They're like, oh, does this just mean that more people, in the majority, like, Marlene here, is going to make more cases of discrimination? Maybe, because there's a lower threshold. But here's what folks should do. They should hire the best people for the job. But many times people will say, without shame, that they are looking for, a woman of a certain race to fill a role, or a certain sexual orientation to fill a role. And you cannot do that. Now, you can make the case that people ought to be able to do that, and it should just be freedom of association. And if I want to hire all, Black women in a job, then I should be able to do that. And if, I can't get a job because in this place that I really want because they want to hire all white people, then they should be able to, if that's what your argument is, and we start getting rid of, like, some of these civil rights laws, I guess we could do that. But as long as you like them for yourself, it's only right that we apply them for everyone, right? I think so. Anyway, last thing I'll mention before I let you guys go, there was a stay order, a temporary protective order that a judge put out concerning the family of the man who set the protesters on fire in Colorado on Sunday. If there's some folks on the right already like going nuclear over this, if they push this further beyond like the temporary, like, protective order, that would be crazy to me. Like, of course we should deport the family of a terrorist, especially because they're not citizens, bro. It just seems very, very obvious. But we shall see. I'm sure that story will continue to evolve. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show, even though it wasn't really the news that folks kind of want to hear, but it was some tea and it was piping hot. And I hope someone, I can't even imagine how many phones Elon must have, or just access to Twitter to or X rather, to write things out. So I don't know if someone can take his phone away, but they need to stop. They need to stop. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website, because it does cost to stream and run the site, all that good stuff you guys can support. I very much do. Someone said we're sipping the unfortunate tea. Yeah, it is unfortunate. You guys can go to the website to support. You guys can check out different merch on the site, like different mugs and t-shirts and so on. So you guys can look at that. You guys can also check out some of my books that I have available. There's a link in the description that'll take you to an Amazon page if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Otherwise, there's a link. There's a banner on my website that'll take you to my book website. But God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be more tea.